Appreciate Jeff giving me this slot right after lunch, so I know that y'all are all nice and full, and right, I'm going to try to keep you from going to sleep. All right? Hey, one of the things that happens with entrepreneurs when you're running your small business, here's one of the things that happens is that there's typically two things that we want. That's all. We don't ask for much. I just need two things. I need clients, and I need money. Right? So I tell you what we're going to do when Jeff asked me to speak. He gave me 2 slots, and I thought, how cool is that? So today we're going to talk about how to get clients. On Wednesday we're going to talk about and how to make money while you do that. All right? So let's think about what we're going to do today for entrepreneurs. For entrepreneurs who are really ready to fill the business with amazing clients. This is what we're going to talk about. How to find the clients. Right? Because it's a really tough thing. It's a really tough thing. And here's some of the things you need to think about. If you're going into business, or you're in business, you probably know these things. If you think about going into business as an entrepreneur, there's some things that you're kind of afraid of. Like what? Oh, like some of these factors. You know that 50% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. 50%. 50%. Wow. According to the U.S. Bureau, 94% of businesses, solo entrepreneurs, 94% never, ever, ever break $100,000 a year. Think about that. 94%. If you look at the top of this, top 6, think about how I got with that name. Let me tell you what I do. I make you not one of those 94%. That's part of what we do here in my business. And by the way, the name of my business is Money Coach LLC. You can get hold of me at mkoneal.com. You can find out everything about what we do. But this is what I do is I help entrepreneurs. Right? And you see, 85% of all those businesses that never make $100,000, 85% of them all have the same problem. 85% have the same problem. We're going to address those problems today. All right? But of those folks that make it past 100,000, take that top 100%. Of those 6 that make it 100,000, 4% of those make over $1 million. So once you get over that 100,000, it's a big hump, right? And once you get over there, what's happened is now your business has a great chance of expanding. Great chance of expanding. So we got to get past that $100,000 hump, right? So let's think about that. Let me tell you what I'm about to give you. What I'm about to give you is we're going to talk about these type of things. The number one thing that you got to do to find the right clients, right? And if you don't do this, the rest of it doesn't matter. Okay? You got to do this. You got to figure out how to get your future clients to find you easily. Right? When you can find them in large numbers. And how to get them to get attracted to you. Right? And how to get them to become interested in you. And how to get them to buy from you. Because if they're interested and they don't buy, it doesn't help you a whole lot, right? Yeah, so we got to get them to do all of those things. All of those things. Okay? And this is the best I can do in like 75 minutes. Okay? But if I can do those, it'd be a pretty good session, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. All right. So hopefully everybody's got one of the handouts, right? Everybody's got the handout. Cool. All right, so let's talk about the number one thing that you've got to have in order to attract clients. The one thing you've got to have in order to attract clients. Everybody ready?
Yeah.
If you don't have this, nothing else works. Okay? You got to have clarity. You got to have clarity. You got to know what in the world you're doing. And you'd be amazed at how many people have no clue. They don't know what they're doing. It's kind of like what they do is they say, who's your client? And they say, geez, if you can follow the mirror, they're my clients. Wrong. Right? What you're doing is you're shooting at this, and if you shoot at that, you know what you're going to hit? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So what you've got to do is you've got to get good at figuring out, geez, who are my clients? Who do I want to work with? Right? Who's interested in the stuff that I have? Who would I be really good with? Right? And let me tell you, you've got to think about this. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't. It's really kind of hurt. Got to do this. Now, so let's think about this as we figure we got to have clarity. The one thing we got to do to get clarity, we got to think about, okay, who is that? Who is that? Well, then you got to answer 3 questions. Those 3 questions are, who is it? Who is it that I serve? Okay? The next thing you got to ask is you got to ask, what problem can I solve for them? Because let me tell you, if you can't solve a problem for them, they don't care. Because you know what they're into? Them. Right? Just like you're into you, They're into them. And if you can't help them, they're not interested. So who are they, right? What problem can you solve for them? And what awesome result can you generate for them? All right, so we're going to go through those three things. All right? Got to think about who are your clients. Let me tell you what you don't do. And you hear this a lot, and I'm going to kind of read this. Let me tell you what some people do. Is I ask them, it says, who's your clients? And they'll say, well, my clients would be women between the age of 30 to 50. They're spiritually open. They're in transition. It's somebody that I resonate with, and they have lots of money to spend. And they think that what they've done is they've defined a niche. No, you haven't. Right? You've made this view of something like that. It doesn't help. Right? Let me tell you some of the things that people are going to do. You've got to figure out what their label is. What is their label? We can't label people. You don't have to. They'll label themselves. Right? They will label themselves. But one of the things you have to do is you get talking to people that you think are that are interested, or people that you think are your clients, and you ask them, what do they do? How would you describe yourself? What are they? And they will describe their label. Well, gee, some of them will say, I'm a mother. Right? I'm an entrepreneur. Someone will say, I'm a solo entrepreneur. I'm a teacher. I'm a single. I'm a Christian. Right? I mean, they will label themselves, and that's important for you to know. Now, one of the things that I want you to do on the next to the last page in your handout, if you look, you're going to have a kind of a little worksheet there, right? And we're going to work through that worksheet here slowly. So one of the things you need to do, you just need to think about the people that you're working with. What's their label? Right? What's their label? All right. The second thing, what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how to call them. Right? How to call them. How to call them. And they need to be ready to spend money with you. Okay? Because here's one of the problems that people have, is that what they do is they try to solve problems. Most entrepreneurs solve problems that are too small. Right? They solve problems that are too small. Right? So here's one of the things I want you to think about. Again, look at that last worksheet, that next to last page. And what I want you to think is I want you to think, what problem can I solve? And this is a big deal. Because not only, and if you look at that worksheet, what they have, 3 problems on here. Let's just look at the worksheet real quick. Number 1, it says, I am what? I want to say clear and committed. Okay, so the answer to those first 2 questions is I'm clear and committed about who I serve. So write that down. I'm clear and committed to who I serve. The name that they recognize themselves is what? And what label do they call themselves? They call themselves moms. Do they call themselves entrepreneurs? Do they call themselves solo entrepreneurs? They call themselves singles. Do they call themselves Christians? Do they, what do they call themselves? Right? What's the label? Right? And I'm going to tell you what you want to do is you want to, and the next question there, these are the 5 best marketing magnets. They're going to help me create a 6-figure business. Okay? So then on blanks number 2, 3, and 4, what I want you to do is I want you to figure out what problems they have. What are the 3 problems? And when we think about the 3 problems, let me tell you what we got to think about in terms of these problems. These are the problems that keep them up at night. Right? Because let me tell you about an issue that is not one of their problems. What we do is we solve problems that are too small. And some people will say, well, geez, if I find a mom, and a mom is trying to figure out, she's got young children, and she's trying to figure out, how do I make sure that I make lunches for my kids that are nutritious and they'll eat? Right? Is that a problem? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a problem. Okay, got that. Is that a problem that keeps them up at night? No. Probably not. Is that a problem they're going to spend thousands of dollars with you to solve? Probably not. Not a problem we want to solve. Right? We want to solve a problem like the things that keep them up at night. How do I pay the rent? And let me tell you, if you don't know how to pay the rent, that'll keep you up at night. Right? I don't know. My business is fixing to go under. My fixed business is about to die. Right? That's a problem that'll keep you up at night. When you have a situation where somebody is facing health issues and they're looking at diabetes, that's a problem that'll keep them up at night. Right? One of the things that will also happen is you have somebody, particularly if they're in their late 20s, early 30s, and things of this nature, and they've been looking for love unsuccessfully. That's a problem that keeps people up at night. but they're lonely. They're looking for me. Right? You need to find of your people, your tribe, if you will, the people that you have found, what problems do they have that you can solve? And write down those problems. You know, I've often said that it's not an issue that we, I'll put it another way. It's not, it's good that we take care of our dreams. It's good when we achieve our dreams. It's sad that we dream about small things. Right? It's good that we solve problems. It's sad that the problems we solve are little ones. Right? What we want to solve is we want to solve big problems for people. Because let me tell you, one of the things that you want to do, if you're interested in being an entrepreneur, you know what you want to do? You want to make an impact. Do you not? You want to make an impact. You want to be relevant. You want people to say, wow, that person there helped me. One of the things I hear more often when I talk with clients is I say, what do you want to do? They say, I want to help people. Right? So if you want to help people, you know what you do? You solve big problems, not little problems. What big problems do your people have? Because if they have big problems, they'll pay for you to solve those big problems. Okay? So that's one of the things you got to do on blanks 2, 3, and 4. What are the big problems that you're going to solve for them? And the next thing I want you to think is about what results are they going to have by working with you? Right? And that's the answer to number 5. My number 1 result is what? What is that? Okay? Now, the reason that this is so important is because once we do this, this is going to provide clarity to you as you're talking with people about your business. Right? It'll provide clarity to you when you go to networking meetings. And by the way, most of us go to networking meetings and we're crummy at it. We go to networking meetings. You know why? Because people tell us we need to go to networking meetings. Right? So we go to networking meetings and we go, well, yeah, I've been coming to these networking meetings for a long time and it hasn't helped me. That's because you're crummy at it. You're talking to the wrong people. You're talking to folks that aren't your tribe. You can't walk into a room. You must be able to walk into a room and go, okay, who are my people here? And who has problems that I can solve? Right? Who are those? And once you clarify in your mind who they are, and that's kind of what we've done in that first 5 questions. Once you clarify that in your mind, you're going to be able to pick them out from a crowd, as a general rule. So once you get those, then what we're going to do is it's going to work on our messaging, right? When we talk to them. Because here's one of the things, let me ask you a question. Once you identify them, don't you love this? When somebody comes up and they say, what do you do? Are y'all afraid of that question? Yeah, you should be. Let me tell you why. Most of us are bad at it. You ever had anybody, so you're at a networking meeting and you ask somebody, says, well, what do you do? And then they talk for the next 5 minutes? Mm-hmm. You know, as you know, part of my friends, as somebody comes up and then they vomit on you. They vomit words for the next several minutes. Yeah, that's bad. Don't do that. What you've got to do is you've got to give them a clear and concise message. Because let me ask you a question. What you don't want to do when they ask you this is you don't want to tell them what you do. Really? Well, that's what they ask. I understand that's what they ask. That's not what you want to do. You don't want to tell them what you do. What you want to do is you want to tell them how to solve a problem they have. Right? Because ultimately, what you really want them to do is you want them to ask you, how do you do that? Right? How do you do that? Because ultimately, what do you really want? Do you want to tell them what you do? Or do you want to have a conversation with them? Is that what you want? It's a conversation. So when somebody says, what do you do? Tell them how to solve a problem that you're pretty sure they have, that you can solve for them, that's a big issue. Right? Yeah, so you can start a conversation. So, you think about this, this is the magic message formula down there at the bottom of that page, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to use some of that stuff that we used up top. And we're going to get them to fill in those blanks. So who do you help? I help, and then put that label. I help, and that label to what problem are you going to solve? Yes, ma'am?
So if you're dealing with the parent-child scenario,
Uh-huh.
that's a good question. Well, or I'll just name it. So I work with memory care. So
Okay.
Dementia.
Dementia.
And really,
Bless your heart. By the way.
so really, their children are my target audience. But
Yes.
ultimately, I mean, what I truly am doing is helping the resident. But I'm selling to the
Right.
children. So when I say I help, am I helping the children because that's who I'm selling to? Or am I helping my resident?
Who's writing your checks?
The children.
The children, right? Which by the way, are 40, 50, 60
Right.
years old.
Right.
Right? Yeah, believe me, I get that. Right? Yeah. So what you're doing is that you're actually selling to them. So what do? Well, what problem are you solving? You're solving a problem that they have with their parents, because their parents now are maybe a danger to themselves,
Right.
maybe a problem to themselves, maybe a problem to the people around them even.
And primarily their concern is my parents' safety, and I worry about them, I feel guilty, and I need more time.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you know, one of the things you might say is, that, you know what, I help folks that have been stricken with, and you can say dementia, you know, depending on how they label themselves, right? You know, how they label themselves. And I'm not in that industry, so I don't know right, exactly what the label is. But I help folks that have dementia live a wonderful, fulfilling life in their world in such a way that you can be happy with their life and yours. Right? So you know what you're doing is you're solving their problem. You're solving their problem. Right? So, you know, one of the things you might say is that, you know, that next thing, you know how, and then put in your label again, you know how they often struggle with, and then what are some of their struggles? Boom, 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 and give out those 3 problems they have up there. Well, I specialize helping them, and then what do you specialize helping them do? What problems do you solve? Right?
Okay.
And then you put in a bonus here, even if, and then put out their biggest objection. Even if what? Blah, 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 blah. If this is something you're interested in, and then what I want you to do is you put in an action item. What do you want them to do? Because let me tell you, most people, they won't tell you this, but most people want to be told what to do. They won't tell you, I don't like to be told what to do. Yeah, most people do. Right? So how do I solve that problem? Well, how do you solve that problem is let's talk. Because I can provide a solution for your mom, you know, your dad, your parent, and I can solve a problem for you. So let's sit down and have coffee. You know, spend 10 minutes with me. Right? Let's make a phone call. You know, whatever. Right? So there's lots of ways that you can do that. So let's think about this just a second. So I'll tell you mine. You know, my little magic message for them. When somebody asks me and says, "Geez, Mike, what do you do?" You know, and I say, "Well, you know, I help entrepreneurs make 6 figures in business." You know how solopreneurs often struggle with getting enough money and finding clients? Some even have issues running their business, even though they're very passionate about it. What do? I specialize in helping them make 6 figures, finding more clients, running their businesses more efficiently. Even if they think they can't afford it, I help them do that. And I do it in less than a year, in a situation that I can pretty much assure you're going to be successful at it. Pretty strong, isn't it? What do I want you to do? Let's sit down and have coffee. Have a cup of coffee. It takes 20 minutes. Let me tell you how we do that. Right? Because what I'm trying to get them to do is to do what? Ask a question. How do you do that? That'd be cool. How do you do that? That's what we want to do. Right? So, what do? I help. Who's your ideal client? Right? To do what? Right? For example, I help solo entrepreneurs break 6 figures in every time. Do you think that would generate a question?
Yeah.
How do you do that? That would be awesome. How do you do that? Well, you know, let's talk about it, right? You know, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get a conversation, not tell them what you do. Then you can have the conversation. Well, you know how, and insert your ideal client. Struggle with, and then tell some of their problems. Right? Well, I'm specializing in helping them to get this wonderful result. All right, that's what I do. That's what I do. Wow. So here's a couple of examples. You know how many solopreneurs struggle to get enough high-paying clients to make real money? Well, there's so much to learn. Well, I specialize in helping them build a strong pipeline of clients excited to to do business with them. How many of you would like to have clients that are excited to do business with you? That'd be cool. Yeah, let me tell you what happens if they're excited to do business with you. You don't pursue them. You know what happens? They pursue you. Wouldn't that be sweet? Right? Here's another example, kind of similar. You know how many solo entrepreneurs struggle to find clients and real money? There's so much to learn. I specialize in helping them build a business that'll generate $10,000 a month. Y'all like that? Mm-hmm. Generate $10,000 a month. And I do that in less than a year. So in less than a year, I can be making $10,000 a month in my business right now that's only making about $20,000 a year. Can we do that? Yeah, I think so. Right? So here's what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the constant client formula. And we just talked about the first two. Right? Because the first two is finding your niche, who your people are. Right? What problems do they have that you can solve, and what awesome result can you come up with? Right? What's their niche? And then what we're going to do is we just talked about the message. Right? So messaging. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the next three of those. Attract and bond and close. Now, there's 5 problems that most people have. Most of us that are in business for ourselves, let me tell you what we do, is that we typically have 5 issues that we got, particularly those of you who are solo entrepreneurs. Let me ask this question. How many of you are solo entrepreneurs? In other words, you're a one-man shop. Yeah, I got a bunch of it here. Okay? All right. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some 5 problems that you probably do. 5 things you probably do wrong. Okay? And then we're going to fix them. Is that okay? Because I'm just going to tell you what you did wrong and then I'll fix it. We're going to fix it. All right. So here's one of the things that you do. You don't give enough time. Oh, you mean I don't have enough time? No, you don't give enough time. You don't spend enough time selling. No, I sell all the time. Bet you don't. Because as an entrepreneur, let me tell you what you ought to do is you ought to spend about 50% of your time selling. You know how much most of us spend? Most of us spend less than an hour a week. You know why? Because we don't like to sell. Because here's one of the things that we think about. When I say sell, or salesman, what do y'all think? What kind of words come up to your mind? Help me out here.
Used car.
Used car, yeah. What else? Anybody?
High pressure.
High pressure, yeah. What else?
I'm just looking.
I'm just looking. Okay, that's one of the things we hear. What else?
Sleazy.
Lazy.
Sleazy.
Oh, fleazy. Yeah, kind of sleazy. Yeah, kind of, right? And these are the images that we think of when we think of salespeople, right? And then when I say you need to spend more time selling, that's the picture that comes up in your mind, and you go, ooh, I don't want to be that person, right? Because I don't want to be that person, you know what you do? We don't do that because I don't want to be that person, right? So don't be that person. Because let me tell you what you do when you're actually selling to people. Is that what you're doing is you're solving a problem, giving them amazing results that they couldn't do by themselves. Isn't that what we just talked about in our messaging? Right? You're finding people that have a problem, and what you're going to do is you specialize in that problem, and you're going to solve it for them. And by the way, when you get done, they're better off. They're way better off because you have made an impact in their life. Is that what we want to do? We want to make an impact in people's lives? We already talked about that. Yeah. So I tell you what, instead of being a salesman, think about the used car salesman, what we're going to do is we're going to have a conversation and we're going to help people with their issues. Right? Doesn't that make sense? So that's some of the stuff that we're going to do. You don't spend enough time selling. Now when I talk about selling, what I mean is, what I want you to do is I want you to spend time talking with folks. And I want you to think of it in that way. We're not selling. You know what I'm doing? I'm talking to folks. Isn't that different? I'm talking to folks. And by the way, when I talk to folks, I help folks. Folks just like you and me, like your mom and your dad and your brother and your girlfriend and your wife. You know what? I talk to folks. I help folks. You got to spend enough time doing that. And most of us don't. And we create reasons as to why we don't. Right? And we put obstacles in our way as to why we don't. Right? Such as, we sit behind a computer. I used to have a mentor. One of the things that he told me, he says, yeah, you know what? You're really good at getting ready to do something. Right? I get ready to do it, and then I get ready to get ready. Right? And I never quite get around to doing it because I'm spending too much time getting ready. Because I'm inventing excuses. You know why I don't spend enough time selling? Because I'm getting ready. Right? I'm sitting behind my computer. What am I doing behind my computer? Oh, I'm writing emails. Right? I'm building websites. Right? I'm getting ready to be ready. I'm building my grand plan. Right? I'm doing all this stuff. I tell you what, a poorly planned, executed well is better than a wonderful plan not executed at all. Right? So you got to go do it. You got to go spend time. You got to get from behind your computer, because most of us want to sit in stealth mode. When I say stealth mode, you know what I mean? We've all bought into and heard and bought into the argument that, you know what I do is that I'm going to sit and I'm going to put stuff on the internet. I'm going to put stuff out on my website, and then people from all over the world are going to come buy stuff from me. Right? And it doesn't happen. And we go, well, why not? I created this neat website. Yeah, but nobody's looking at it. Because one of the things you have to do is you've got to go out and drive people to your website. Oh, they'll find it on Google. No, they probably won't. Right? You got to go drive people to your website. You can't operate in stealth mode. Right? And by the way, most of us don't learn, or nor do we have a process to learn how to sell. Because again, we don't like to be what? Salesmen. Right? I'm not a salesman. So I tell you what, why don't we do this? Why don't we build us a process that you're comfortable with, where what we do is we go talk to people, talk to folks, as I like to put it, we go talk to folks about some of the problems that we think we can solve. Now you're making an offering. And in a way that helps them, and you're happy with doing it. Can you do that? Would you be happy to do that? Yeah, because now you're just having a conversation. We can have a conversation, right? Just talk. I mean, we talk all the time, right? We can have a conversation. Just us girls, right? We can do that, yeah. So have a conversation. That's what you're trying to do, is have a conversation. Now, when you have that conversation, what you're going to do is you're learning how to identify them to see if there's somebody you can actually help. And if they are somebody that you can actually help in that conversation, then what you're going to do is you're going to try to bring up some of the issues that they have, verify the fact that they have those issues. You're going to ask them a lot of questions to make sure that y'all are on the same page and they actually have some of those issues. And then what you're going to do is you're going to talk to them about the results and get them to imagine what would happen if they could get that problem out of their life. How cool would that be? And then what you're going to do is you're going to offer multiple choices and say, well, if we can do that, here's some of the ways that I can help you, and you're going to give them choices. And then you're going to let them close. I didn't say you closed, I said we're going to let them close. Because people do not like to be sold. People love to buy. They will buy things that will help them. So what you're doing is you're producing things that's going to help them. It means you've got to find the right people to start off with, right? Give them the right message. And then what you're going to do is you're going to drive them through, put them through this conversation that you're going to have where you can show them how you can help them, and you're going to get them excited to do business with you. Okay? So you've got to learn how to sell. And the other problem that we have is we use the shotgun approach to finding clients. You know what a shotgun approach means? It means that what we're going to do, a shotgun shoots things out in a big pattern, right? So what we do is we just say, okay, I know that there's people out there, so I'm going to go to here. And I'll hit somebody. Right? No, you won't. Right? So what I'd like to do is let's spend just a couple minutes and let's talk about some of the ABCs of finding clients. Okay? The first thing that you got to do is you've got to bring them to you. You've got to attract them. Okay? You've got to attract them. Right? Again, we're back to solving the big problem. Right? And you got to figure out, do people actually want what you offer? Right? Because you think it's cool doesn't mean that they do. Right? So they've got to actually want what you offer. And they've got to be willing to pay for what you offer. We're back to that situation where, geez, I teach moms how to get nutritious lunches for their kids. Right? Well, they pay for that. If the answer is no, you need to go find out the problem. Because they won't pay for that. What problem can you solve for them that will make their life better if they're willing to pay for it? And then what we need to do is we need to get that attention. Now, here's one of the things that happens is that there's a whole bunch of ways that we get attention. And let me tell you what we do. because it's very cool to do these things. We jump on internet marketing, right? And we look at social media, right? And some of us get into it and says, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to publish a book. Right? We're going to publish a book because I could be an author. I've always wanted to be an author, you know, so I'll publish a book. Right? And maybe I'll send out my mail campaign. I'll send out a bunch of emails. And while we're doing all these things, guess what we're doing? You're operating behind your desk in stealth mode. The things that we said you don't need to do. Right? Let me tell you one of the things that I think is a real problem here, and is that we try to do all of these. We do this shotgun approach, and we do all of these. And what works for you is probably 2, 3, 4 of these. And if you're a solo entrepreneur, particularly if you're a solo entrepreneur trying to work, you know, in your local area, let me tell you what I think the most effective ones are. You need to get into networking. Now, some of you may say, I don't like it. I don't like networking. You know what? I don't either. I do it. You know why? Because there's gold in them there networks. Right? So what we do is that, yes, you know, you go and you meet people and you talk to them and you identify who your clients are, but you go to networking with a purpose. You don't go to a networking meeting because, well, I'm supposed to go to a networking meeting, so I'll go. No, you go to networking, and what is your goal when you go to a networking meeting? And you ought to state that. Think about that before you get there. I'm going to go to this networking meeting, and I'm going to make 3 contacts that I'm going to have coffee dates with before I leave. Right? Have a goal. Stephen Covey puts it this way. He says, begin with the end in mind. Right? What is your goal? Don't just go to networking. Go and have an absolute goal. Have a reason for going. Right? One of the next things you can do is you can speak. A lot of these networking groups are looking for intelligent people that can actually speak to an audience. And let me tell you one of the things that does when you can speak in front of a group. You know what that does? That increases your credibility to all those folks. Let me tell you something else it does. It increases your confidence in your subject matter. Because you realize that all these people think you're the expert, you start thinking you're pretty good at it too. And your confidence goes up. Okay, so look for ways to speak. Look for referrals. Because how many of you have bought something because a good friend of yours said, hey, you got to go talk to them, right? Most of us have, right? Not because we trusted them, the person we bought it from, but because we trusted the person that sent us there, right? So one of the things that you do is you get great networking through networking. Through networking, you meet lots of people, you make your initial sales. Right? You move into speaking because it's going to take you a little while to get some of your speaking environments. Once you make a couple of sales, you ask for referrals. Right? And by the way, if you've done a good job and solved a good problem for them, all you have to do is ask because they would love to give you referrals. If you have solved a big problem for them, are they interested in telling their friends about it? Yes. Because a lot of their friends, guess what? They have some of the same issues. Some of the people that you talk to, you think that others have parents that have dementia issues? Oh yeah, right? Yeah, birds of a feather flock together. You've heard that phrase? Get in that flock. Because now there's a bunch of them, right? And then some of the other things you want to do is you want to get some strategic alliances. Find out, is there somebody in your community that tends to work a lot with people that might be your clients, that you can solve problems for? If so, then maybe what you ought to do is you ought to get involved with them, work with them, talk with them. Is there something that you can do for them? So there's things you got to do. Think about these things. So don't do all of these. Pick 2 or 3 or at the most 4 and specialize on those. And they're probably not going to be the ones that you operate in stealth mode behind your desk. You've got to get out and talk to people. Because let me tell you something that folks like. Hi, my name's Mike.
Good to meet you.
And you are?
Michael.
You're Michael. Awesome.
Yep.
God, what a good-looking guy. You know? You know what people like? Flesh and blood likes flesh and blood. And people like a firm handshake. They like meeting. They like looking at you. Right? So go create that. Go create that. All right. Now that maybe is kind of different than what you've heard. Yeah. There is, because there's a whole lot of books telling you how awesome you can be with internet marketing. And guess what those books are designed to do? Sell books. Right? They're not designed to actually help you in your company. All right, so here's some secrets I want you to get to choose your method. One of the things I want you to do is, how can you find your clients easily? You've got to get the right message for the right place. Right? You've got to get the right message for the right place. You got to think about the dollar figure of what you're doing, and you got to figure out what your strengths are. So when you think about which one of these, my green dot doesn't work on the screen, you know? But when you think about these, which ones of these you're going to pick, use these 3 secrets to help you choose those. Right? Where can you find your clients easily? Because if you go to a meeting, you go to a network meeting, and there's 50 people there, and there's one of them that's your client, your potential client, that's not a good meeting for you. How about you go to a meeting that has 50 people there, and 20 of them are your potential clients? That's a good meeting for you, right? So where can you find your clients easily that are willing to buy and have the money to pay for your product? Because if somebody won't pay for your product or can't afford to pay for your product or this type of thing, what ends up happening, and I'm not down on pro bono work, I understand that you do that from time to time, but you can't make a living on it, right? So what you've got to do is you've got to find folks that can actually afford to pay for your services. And then I want you to play to your strengths. If you're a wonderful public speaker, then go speak. Right? If you're a crummy public speaker and it scares you to death, then maybe you shouldn't do that. Right? Play to your strengths. Don't play to your weaknesses. And by the way, don't lie to you. Don't lie to you. Right? Don't tell yourself you're an awesome singer if you're not. I'm not, by the way. Which is why this is not a musical. Okay? All right. So once we attract them, now what you have to do is you have to bond with them. Now here's one of the problems that we have as entrepreneurs so often. You know what we try to do? We meet them and then we try to sell them. Right? It's kind of like dating. And I want you to think of this. If you're dating someone, and boy, y'all think it's been a long time since I dated. Yeah, me too. I've been married for 28 years, right? So it's been a long time since I dated someone. But on the first date, you don't go, wow, let's get married. Right? You don't do that. One of the first things you got to do when you meet somebody, you got to figure out, geez, are we compatible? Is there some chemistry here? Is there a problem here I can solve? Right? You got to spend a little bit of time bonding with them before you get married. Right? And then later you're going to determine, geez, does this make sense? Right? Because let me tell you, if it doesn't make sense, awesome. Let them go. Let them go. One of the high points that's going to come in your business, if you're an entrepreneur, one of the high points, and I mean this, the high point, is when you finally get to the point where you're making so much money that you have that one client that just drives you absolutely nuts, and you let them go.
That's so much fun.
Right? Let them go. Let them go. So you gotta figure out, geez, what's our bonding? And we've all got that know, like, and trust, right? And that's what you've got to do, is you've got to spill this time to figure out, geez, how do I like, know, and trust people? Right? You've got to give time to do that. Because this like, know, and trust has to be in place before people will buy from you. Particularly if they're going to buy from you in anything that is of any size. Now, one of the things that we're going to talk about on Wednesday, when we talk about Show Me the Money, is we're going to talk about how we actually can sell things that are a big enough moneymaker to where we're actually happy with it. Because let me tell you something, if you've got a $20 product, right, and you sell 10 $20 products, you've made $200. How many of those do you have to sell in a month to make $10,000? A lot. You're probably not going to do that. But how many $3,000 products do you have to sell to make $10,000? Not near as many, right? Okay, so if you're going to get into this like, know, and trust type thing, what you've got to do is you've got to figure out, geez, do I have a product they can sell? They're going to have to like you, know you, trust you before they're going to buy from you of a product of any significance. Okay, so work on that. Work on that. Think about this. How's the best way to bond? How's the best way to bond with people? The answer is going to come maybe kind of different from what you really did think about. One of the things you don't want to do is you don't want to pursue them. Right? Because one of the things, I don't know if how long it's been since y'all bought a car. But you've been in a car dealership and you're looking at all these automobiles, right? This guy's come out and he's talking to you, kind of pushing you through this, and you say, well, I'll think about it. And you start to walk off and you can't move your leg. And you look down there, and it's because the salesman's now having his arms around your leg, right? You think about that. Why? How does that feel? Does that feel good? No. They're pursuing you. Or the salesman's pursuing you. Don't pursue your clients. Let them pursue you. Because what you want to do is you want to have a conversation with them. You've picked the right clients. You've given them the right message. You want them to come to you and continue to have a conversation where you're all comfortable with each other. Right? You don't want to have too much contact, but yet you don't have too little. There's a fine line there. You'll get better at figuring out what that line is. All right? But let me tell you, one of the magic things is to get people to really like, know, and trust you. You need to spend most of your time listening to them. And you know what? We don't like to do that. Because what's your favorite topic? Me. You. Your favorite topic is probably you. And if you're spending your time talking about you, you're not listening, you're talking. Right? Oh, I thought you wanted to build the like, know, and trust. One of the things that's always funny, if you go to talk with somebody, and I've been in places where we've had that conversation about, when you meet somebody for a coffee date, and you set up for 60 minutes, and you say, okay, well, I'm going to let you talk for 30 minutes, and I'm going to talk for 30 minutes. Right? Have y'all done that? Right? So you set that up, and then the other guy, hogs all the conversation, and you realize you're 45 minutes into it, and you haven't got a chance to talk, and you walk out of there going, he didn't give me a chance to talk. I didn't get to say any of my stuff. Right? And you're mad? Don't be mad. Because what do? You spent most of your time listening. And when they're walking out of their meeting, they're walking out of that meeting and go, wow, he's a really nice guy. What did you just do? You just increased the like, know, and trust factor. Right? So you need to spend much more of your time listening. Listening. Now let me tell you something that happens when you listen. When you listen, you can figure out what problems they have. Right? And too many of us, what we do is we're so quick to sell, so fast. Right? We don't take time to date. Right? We're ready to move into marriage. Right? We don't spend enough time listening. So then we don't spend enough time, we don't have the knowledge to be able to then, when it comes to our time to talk, to ask them the right questions. So that we can figure out, well, geez, what I heard you say is that you have this big issue. Is that right? Yeah, wow. How awesome you are, how insightful you are. Well, you just told me that 3 times. Right? So what we want to do is we want to listen. And then what you're going to do is you're going to spend some time explaining. This is how I can solve your problem. I think I can solve your problem. Would that be cool? Would you like me to solve a problem? No, because if I could solve that, would that make your life easier? Oh, it would make my life so much easier. Wow, so you can explain, well, this is how I can solve the problem. And then what you spend is you spend a little bit of time closing. All right, a little bit of time closing. So here's one of the things I want you to think about. Most of us, when we go and we go to networking meetings and we talk to people and then we go to coffee dates, right? We do these things. What we do is, again, we don't spend enough time selling, right? And we don't understand the mathematical formula. So here's the mathematical formula I want you to think. How many clients do you want this month? And that's going to determine by what you want your income to be, right? So if I want my income to be, pick a number, $10,000 this month. If I want my income to be $10,000 this month and I have a product that's worth, $2,500, how many clients do you need to get to do that? You got to have 4, you got to have 5, whatever it is, right? Okay, you got to have that many clients. Okay, how do you get that many clients? Well, let's see. If you need 5 clients this month, I'm going to ask you a question. What's your closing rate? In other words, how many people do you need to talk to that are interested in your product? How many people do you talk to that you can actually convert into a sale? And for most of us, that's no more than 20%. Right? If it's no more than 20%, in other words, we have to talk to 5 people that are interested in what we have to offer, that are in the market at the present time. We have to talk to 5 people in order to close 1. Right? That means we've got to have 25 sessions, 25 meetings this month to get 5 clients. So here's the question. Are you having 25 sessions this month?
No.
We're not spending enough time selling, are we? We're not spending enough time in conversations. We're not spending enough time talking to the right people. Right? People think, wow, you know, what this is sales is luck. Sales is an art. No, it's really more getting out there and doing it. Right? It's really more getting out there and doing it. All right. So the last thing we want to do is we want to close. Think about how we close. Let me tell you how you don't close. Well, I don't know about you. Let me tell you how I don't close. Right? How I don't close is I'm not a big fan of all these closing techniques. And let me tell you, you can go and you can read all kinds of sales books and they'll give you all these closing techniques and this type of stuff. You know, I don't want to do that. You know what I really want to do? I really want to solve a problem for you. That's what I want to do. Because I want to make an impact. Isn't that what we want to do? We want to make an impact. We want to help people. We want to do these kinds of things. So let me tell you how I close. Is that I'm going to listen to you. I find the problem that you have that I can solve. Right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you options of how I can solve your problem. Right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say something like this. Okay, so here are, you know, I think I can solve your issue. I think I can solve this problem for you. You know, so here's the ways that I can solve it. Here's 3 solutions. Boom, boom, boom. Which one of these solutions would work for you? Did you hear what I didn't do? I didn't say, oh, here's a problem you have. Here's my solution. Don't you want to buy that? Because now they have an opportunity to say what? No. Yes or no. Right? So what I've got is I say, here's a problem that I heard that you say you have. Is that, you know, problem? Yeah, that's exactly a problem. Okay, so if we could get that problem and take that away, would that be important? Yeah, that'd be awesome. Okay, I think I can solve that for you. I think I can. Now, here's 3 ways we can go about it. Right? And they're going to be 3 different prices. Right? 3 different amounts of involvement, you know, this type of stuff, right? You know, which of these 3 would you be more comfortable with? Is there a yes or no there? There's a, wow, you know, well, that one looks a little expensive. I don't think I can do that. And I don't think that one's extensive enough. So I really like this middle one. Can we do that one? Yeah, I'd be happy to sign you up for that one. Let's get that started. So what have you done? You've solved a problem for them. You let them close themselves. Because people love to buy, they don't want to be sold to. Doesn't that make sense? Does that make sense? Yeah, so here's some of the things that you want to do. Great, if we decide to move forward, when would you like to start? Because, you know, we can start this week, or we can start, you know, later in the month. Right? What's your schedule look like? Right? So I didn't say, do you want to buy this? I said, great, when would you like to start? Oh, I don't know, I need to look at my schedule. Well, let's pull it out, look at it. I'll pull out my calendar too, we'll see if we can match. Right? Right? Some of these things, and you'll figure out which one of some of these works for you. Right? You know, another question is this, great. So of these 3 solutions that we have here, you know, which one of these works for you? Well, geez, I like that second one. That one works for great. How would you like to pay for that? Because I got different ways to pay for it, right? How would you like to do that? And let me tell you something else that you really want to do is you want to make it easy for people to hand you money. Right? I've talked to some businesses and they say, you know, I don't take credit cards. How come? Well, you know, you get something like Square or something like PayPal and they take 4%. Can you believe that? They take 4%. Okay, great. Would you rather have 96% of something or 100% of nothing? It's not hard math. Right? Make it easy for people to give you money. You know? Well, what if their check bounces? Then their check bounces. Right? And that's an illegal act, by the way. Right? You have things that you can do here. But you know, take checks, take cash, take credit cards. What kind of credit cards? Any one they have in their wallet. Right? It's easy to do. Through PayPal, through Square, you can do that. It's easy to do. They take 4%. I don't care. Make it easy to So let's think about some of the stuff that I want you to do. I want you, basically the ABC method is that what I want to do is you need to attract folks. Okay, how are we going to attract? Well, I told you some of the things I want you to do. I want you to go through referrals, networking, speaking, and strategic partners. These are the ones that work really, really well for me. right? Others may work better for you, but let me tell you why I like those 4. It gets me out to where I'm doing, what I'm doing is I'm actually talking with people one-on-one. I'm shaking hands, right? Because flesh and blood likes flesh and blood, right? I give people an opportunity to look me in the eye and figure out, geez, am I trustworthy or not, right? That's what people want, because you want to increase that like, know, and trust factor, particularly if you're selling higher volume, higher priced products, right? They need that, okay? So those work for me, right? I don't operate in stealth mode. Y'all can probably tell I'm not real stealthy, right? You know, everybody knows when I come in a room, right? All right, so the next thing I want you to do is I want you to think about, geez, when we're bonding with people, how do I bond with them? Well, I bond with them in person, or if I can't do that, then on the phone. Right? I would much rather do that than I could, you know, on the web or through a teleconference. You know why? Because only about 20% of everything that you actually, the communication that goes through actually comes through the spoken word. The rest of it comes through what? Body language, tone, inflection. So I want to give them a chance to read more of me, not less of me. I want them to see that, yes, I do care. I want them to see that, yes, I am serious. Yes, I am trustworthy. And they do that by looking at you, by listening to you, by listening to your voice, your inflection. Right? And then what I want to do is we don't sell, we allow them to see our offers. Right? And then we let them close. Right? And then obviously then what we're going to do is we're going to sign the deal and we're going to celebrate. And celebrate with your clients. Don't go off by yourself and celebrate. Celebrate with your clients, because what did you just decided to do with your client? We've just decided to improve your life. Woohoo! Isn't that cool? We're going to make your life better. Yeah? Isn't that neat? And that's the way that you got to look at it. We're going to solve that problem that you have. And we're going to solve it together, by the way. Right? Yeah. So let's think about those constant, again, the constant ones. We just talked about niche and messaging up front, right? And now what we talk about is attracting, bond, and close. Now, I don't have time to actually talk about the other ones. There's a lot more things we can do, right? And I can talk to you about, geez, what's that process? What's that sales process? How do we do that? How do we work through this? There's lots of things that we can talk about. We just kind of scratch the surface. Unfortunately, I can't tell you everything I know about entrepreneurs in, like, an hour. If I could, you're in the wrong place, right? Right? Yeah, I can't do that. So listen to me ask you a question. Are you still struggling? Do you still kind of have an idea? Still kind of think, he said some good stuff, but I don't. Now what do I do? Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Is that I'm going to give you a special opportunity, right? And I can't do this for everybody, because what we got about 20 folks in here. 20 folks in here, and I spend about, right now I'm spending about half my time on the road. So let me tell you what that means. I've consulted and speak and train and work with clients. Goodness, I've been in the last two and a half years. 2.5 years I've been in 46 states. So I'm like, I'm going a lot, right? So let me tell you what I'm going to do, though, is that I'm devoting half my time to folks here in Austin. Because I live in Georgetown. I'd rather work with people here locally than have to fly off and see folks, right? So what I want to do is I'd like to give y'all an opportunity. Look on your last page of that handout. Look on that last page. You see that the very last page, right? You see that? Okay. If you're interested, if there's something that I can do for you, I'll tell you what I'd like to do. I'd like to give you a free session. Okay, we can just talk, right? Because that's what we're going to do, is just talk about your business, right? We can just talk about your business, right? So look at that last session and see if that's something that you look at and go, wow, I think, Mike, I think you can help me with that. If I can help you with some of the stuff that we talked about, some of the things we talked about, says, hey, let's do that. Then I tell you what I want you to do is I want you to fill that last thing off, tear it off, and hand it to me before you leave. Okay? And what we'll do is we'll get you a free session. Now, if we can do it this week, it would be awesome. Because I'm in town this week, and I'm in Wisconsin next week. Yeah, I'm in Wisconsin next week. Okay? And then I'm here the week after that. So we're either going to do it this week or we're going to do it 2 weeks from now. Okay? So go ahead, if you're interested, if there's something that I can do, you'd like to spend some time with me, I'm not going to charge you nothing. Right? And what we can do is let's see if we can get your businesses up and cranking. Because this is what I do. You talk about, most entrepreneurs say, geez, what I really like to do is I want to make an impact. This is how I make an impact. Is I make your business better. I make your business better. One of the things you might ask is you might think, well, geez, Mike, what do you do? I hope I've told you what I do. And what I do is I work with solo entrepreneurs. You know how some of them have a hard time finding clients and making good money? I help them make a six-figure business. If I could help you work on a six-figure business, I'd love to do that. All right, we got a little bit of time. Do y'all have questions? Didn't have any questions? Anything that I can do for you? Oh, how much time you got, Jeff? Got a little bit?
Till 3.
Wow, till 3. Yes, sir, Danny.
Mike, can you expand on the numbers part where you're tracking those numbers? You had 3 spots up there. Just expand on that a little bit.
Okay, so basically what I said is that if you wanted to have, what did I say, 5 clients, right? If you wanted to have 5 clients, then how many, and what's your closing rate, your conversion rate. And most people, if they're not professional salesmen, right, their closing rate is going to be between 10 and 20%, right? 10 and 20%, which is kind of tough, particularly if you want to get 5 clients and your closing rate is 10%, now you need to talk with 50, right? So you got to be better at kind of going through your sales process and converting those, and that's called conversion factor, converting those from talking with people that are in the market to actually buy from you. But basically what you got to do is you think about, geez, if my conversion rate's 20%, right, and I need 5 new clients, then I've got to talk with, what, 25 people? 25 people that you're going to engage in a sales conversation. Now, when I talk about engaging in a sales conversation, I don't mean a conversation where you're going to push them to buy stuff. What I mean is, this is a conversation where you're going to ask them and date with them, right? Court them, so you can figure out, do they have an issue, a big problem that you can solve, right? And if you can, then you want to help them, right? If they have a problem that you can't solve, right, they're not your client. And you might need to tell them, geez, you know, I would love to solve your problem. I'm not the guy. Maybe if you know somebody that can help them, then you refer them to somebody else. Because what's your point there? And when you have that conversation, and I talk about it as a sales conversation, I really prefer to think of it as a strategic session, because that's what we're doing, is we're talking about your business, your strategic session. But once we're doing that, you know, what we're trying to do is we're trying to help them, right? Once you shift in your mind the idea that what I'm going to do is I'm going to serve you, not sell to you, that's a different perspective. Because now you're kind of thinking, how can I serve you? Can I serve you by referring you to somebody else? Right? Can I serve you best by maybe giving you some information? Can I serve you best by pointing you to a website? Can I serve you best by me trying to get you to look at what my offers are? Right? How can I best serve you? And that's kind of what I think about. But yeah, most people, what they do is when I talk about conversion factor, their eyes glaze over because they have no idea how many people they need to talk to in order to make a sale. But most of us is going to be somewhere between 10 and 20%. Did that answer your question, Dan? Yeah. Any other thoughts? Any other questions, comments? Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about speaking and coming across as the expert in your field, which is awesome. So a good example for me would be, so I want to contact a pastor of a big church and say, I want to hold whatever you would call it, a meeting with anyone that has an elderly that's dealing with staying at home issues, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Talk about things they can do to help their parents stay at home longer and their viable options when that's no longer something that can happen. How do I go about, do I call this pastor? Do I stop in? How do you set up meetings? Okay,
so here's one of the things. That's a good, excellent question. She said, you know, basically if I'm trying to meet a particular group and they don't, you know, I don't know if they have meetup groups for pastors, right? You know? So you got to go do something to get in
I'll look at meetup. Right? There might be one.
It might be, right? You know, there are groups where pastors get together, right? You know, this type of stuff. I know that. But that's a good question. So let's think about some of the things we need to do. First off, I want you to eliminate anyone. Eliminate the word anyone. Okay. Because here's what happens. When I ask you, do you know anyone that does da 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 da? And they go, no, I don't know anyone that does that.
Oh, I see.
Right?
Okay.
So eliminate that. Okay? So what I would do is I would go in and I would talk with, you know, first thing you got to get past the gatekeeper, right? So I would go to the church office and say, you know, I work with elderly folks that have dementia and this stuff. It's a big problem in our community. And I was wondering if maybe I can solve some issues for your congregation. Because what's the pastor interested in? His congregation, right? He's not interested in anyone, right? He's interested in his flock, if you will, right? His people. And by the way, he's going to protect his people. And you're not part of his people. Right? So immediately we've got this wrong. Right? So what you're going to do is you're going to go down and say, you know, I realize I'm not part of your flock. I mean, you don't necessarily say this, but this is what you mean. I realize I'm not part of your flock, but I think I can help some of your flock. Okay? Can we have a cup of coffee sometime and we can talk about how possibly I can help your flock? And if I can't, cool. Like, I'm not trying to sell you anything. You know, this is what I do. Right? And be prepared if they said, I've got 10 minutes now. Would you like a cup of coffee? Be prepared to say, I would love one.
Just don't say hell yeah.
Yeah, that's probably not. It might not work. We need to polish that a little bit. but you know, go in there and do this, because what you're there to do is you're there to serve their flock. Right? You're there to serve them and their group.
Okay.
Okay, does that help?
Yes.
Okay, great. Anything else? Any other thoughts? Oh, come on, we got what? Another 20 minutes here to go, right? You know? Yes, yeah.
So I do permanent makeup, extension stuff. So it's a little
Permanent makeup type stuff.
Yes.
Okay, great.
How can I like approach women? Like I don't ever want to go and be like,
Your eyebrows suck.
Yeah.
I don't want to do
Yeah, that
that.
might not
But what
Right?
are the ways to approach women or?
Okay, so let me tell you, I'm not a woman. Right? You know, but I will tell you that I know of a lady that has been very, very successful in that industry. Okay? And she actually, she worked for Mary Kay, right? And there's been very few people that I've ever met that have been very successful working at MLMs, right? You know, and Mary Kay is one of those. But let me tell you what she did and made her so successful. Is she just loved on women. Right? So she would hold groups and hold meetings, and people would come in and this type of stuff, and she just loved on women. Right? Because what do they want to do? They want to feel good, right? They're wanting to feel better about themselves. They're wanting to feel pretty, right? They're wanting to feel worthy, right? They're wanting to feel confident. So she would never say, oh, you know, look at this product. They'd say, oh, you know, let's see what we can do to make, you know, bring out the best features in you. Right, you know, and she would just love on women, and she cares, right, and that care comes through. Right? People know whether you care or not, don't they? People know whether you care or not. Yeah. So that care came through, and she just loved on women. And by the way, you know that Mary Kay does this pink Cadillac thing. You know, she's like 32 years old and has already had like 6 or 7 cars. I mean, she's done amazingly well, right? Yeah, and because she loves on women. She doesn't sell them stuff, she loves on women. So that's what I would say. Yeah, yes, sir.
I'm hung up on the numbers. Back to that.
Okay, he's a numbers guy. Can you tell? You know?
Okay. Do you track? How deep do you go in your track? When you meet somebody, get their car, do you track how many people you meet and all the way through the process, or just at some point that you have a one-to-one? Is that when you start tracking?
Good question, because here's one of the things that happens is that as you go to networking meetings, right? I told you I want you to be deliberate when you go to networking meetings, right? I want you to know. So one of the things you have to do is you've got to go to networking meetings and yes, track those, you know? And I have been to some networking meetings I stopped going to because I went to for 6 months and I got $0. All right? Because here's some of the things you got to think about is when you're going to networking meetings, when you're meeting people, when you're tracking, yes, you have to keep your hand on the numbers. Because it's not the numbers, it's the story, right? And you got to figure out what the story is, right? And if the story is that, hey, I'm going to this networking meeting and I'm really, really enjoying the networking meeting. I'm having a great time, they're great people, right? Awesome folks there. I really enjoy that networking meeting and it is awesome. And I've sold nothing, right? For the last 6-8 months. Then maybe you're a professional visitor, which is okay, but it doesn't pay very well. So maybe you go to that networking meeting because guess what? You know, it makes you feel better. Okay, that's all right. You can't go to like 10 of those in a week. Right? You got to make some money sometime, which means you got to be deliberate in your networking meeting. So as you go to these meetings, you can't go once or twice, right? You need to put in some time, 3, 4, 5 months, right? To go to these networking meetings. But then you got to be able to answer the question. Do I, you know, am I making any money off that? And if you are, awesome. If you're not, then maybe you need to consider going someplace else. So yeah, you know, I track stuff from, you know, by networking meetings, by number of conversations I have. Let me tell you, the worst person in your business is the one that is the affable person, the one that says, hey, yeah, I'm interested, but they never pull the trigger. Because let me tell you what, a no typically means not right now. You know, I'm not there right now. But somebody that says, yeah, maybe, now you're not making the sale and you're spending a ton of time. Right? Ooh, they're robbing you twice. Right? So that's the hardest person to it's also tough to walk away from. Right? Because they keep saying, you keep hoping for that sale, right? You know, but keep those numbers too. So yeah, track your numbers. People who keep a finger on their numbers typically do a whole lot better than those that don't. A whole lot more profitable than those that don't. Yeah, any other questions?
Yeah, I have one.
Yeah, sure.
It's not for me directly, so I wanted to start something in my husband's business.
Okay.
He's an illustrator, right?
An illustrator?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're an artist.
Yeah.
Cool.
And a wonderful artist.
Okay, yeah, I have zero talent.
Biggest fan, not because I'm his wife, he's really good.
Okay.
But the thing is that he, of course, all his work is by hand and stuff like that. So
Right.
if he wants to get more clients, it's going to be a little bit difficult because of his time and how much, you know, the time
Right.
that he spent doing his job. So, so this is the first challenge. The second one is there's a lot of competition out there. You know?
Okay.
So we don't know what, because you're saying here, okay, try to offer them something different and something like that. I mean, it's not any different there. It's like I don't know how to say it. It's like it is what it is. You know?
Well, sure, it's different. I mean, you know, here's one of the things. There's a difference between a Picasso and a Wimberg. Right? So you have a particular style. So one of the things that's happening is that if you're not making the sales that you want to make, you know, then you may be fishing in the wrong hole. Right? You're not fishing in the where enough of your clients are. So if you're an illustrator and you tend to and right, I have no idea what you do, but if you're an illustrator and you tend to do things like let's say the comic books and that kind of style, right?
Yeah.
Then don't go to a modern art festival.
Yeah.
Right? You know, this type of stuff. And you've got to narrow that down more and more to the point of where you know exactly who your clients are and where you can find them. And they're out there, right? Where you can find them in large numbers might be tough, right? But you can find it. But what you've got to do is continue to narrow your clients down. Does that make sense? What we're trying to do? Yeah. Let me tell you, one of the things that happens is that when people need an illustrator, and not many folks do. It's not something that you normally need, right? But when people need an illustrator, typically they don't have any idea what they want. You know, and I was looking for one when I wrote my first book, because I was looking for how to do a cover. I had an idea about what it needed, but I needed somebody in the industry that was smart enough, right, to say, okay, give me your idea, and then I'll produce this. And we went through 2 or 3 different renditions. Right, so there's a group out there for you, right? You know, it may be tough finding them. So continue to narrow that down.
So for your second book, here's an illustration.
That would be my third. I've written 2 now. Awesome. Any other questions?